What's up, everybody? This is Mario, and I'm back with another episode of Endurify. And it is January 2nd, 2021. So I hope that your New Year's celebrations and reflections went well. And I hope that you're off to a great start for 2021. And yesterday in the episode, I talked about how do you start a new habit. We talked about understanding habit loops and how you can start to use the trigger, the routine, and the reward to start a new habit. But there's also a way that you can use those same things that we've talked about to stop bad habits as well. So in my job as a product owner and a product leader of a product team, we have these things called retros, and this is a retrospective meeting. And this is where we look back over the past month or 2 months or quarter, and it's a time for us to reflect and talk about what things are going well and what things are not going well. And I like to ask myself a couple of different questions in those meetings. And there's just 3 super actionable questions that I like to ask. The first is, what should we keep doing? The second is, what should we stop doing? And the third is, what should we start doing? So a lot of times when we're talking about improving our lives, if that's through exercise, if that's through, goal setting, if that's through eating healthier, we only focus on, how do I start doing something? But I think that there's 2 other questions to ask, which is, how do I keep doing the things that I'm doing well? And how do I stop doing the things that are getting in my way? Those things that are not serving us. Some examples of that could be, just spending a lot of time on our phones. It's something that I definitely struggle with, and I'm trying to minimize the amount of time that I spend on my phone. As an athlete, maybe it's watching TV or watching Netflix instead of stretching or doing some recovery exercises or core strength. Another example might be eating poorly after a good workout, which completely defeats the purpose of doing the exercise in the first place. So what I want to talk about today is, how do we stop doing bad habits, or how do you break bad habits? And according to the Brave Athlete and some other research that I've done, there's kind of 2 effective strategies that you can take to try and break bad habits. And the first step is to get some awareness on how often you do this bad habit and what the triggers of that bad habit are. So in the book, there's an exercise that's all about find out what triggers your bad habits. And what they do is they have 5 questions that you answer on at least 3 occasions that you do your bad habit. And the reason why you have to do it 3 times is that starts to help you identify some of those noticeable patterns. So first, what you want to do is you want to list out what is the behavior that you're trying to stop. Watching TV instead of stretching, spending all this time on my phone, checking my emails first thing in the morning. And then you want to ask yourself these 5 questions. So the first is, where were you exactly? Were you at home? Were you on the couch? Were you in the living room? Were you in the bathroom? Next question, what time was it? Okay. 9 a.m., 8 p.m., 5 p.m. Third question, what is your emotional state? Are you tired from work? Are you nervous about an upcoming meeting? Are you excited after a good workout? So you want to think about your emotional state. The fourth, who are you with? Are you with other people? Are you with your coworkers? Are you with your family? Or are you by yourself? And then the 5th question is, what were you doing immediately before that bad habit? Were you watching TV? Were you drinking a glass of wine? Just hanging out? So those are kind of the 5 questions that you can ask to start to notice some of the patterns that are leading to the bad habit. So it's, where were you exactly? What time was it? What was your emotional state? Who are you with? and what were you doing immediately before that. And so the purpose of this exercise is to try and understand where were you and what were the different triggers and what was your emotional state and what were you doing right before this, because those all serve as different triggers for your body and for your brain to take a certain action. And so once you've documented those 5 questions at least 3 times in a given day or over a period of time, that's when you can start to identify those triggers. And then the next step in that is to try and cut out as many triggers as possible. So just try and eliminate those triggers. And so an example of this is, if you eat cookies when they are in the house, try and eliminate that trigger of seeing a cookie that's in your kitchen. You can throw them away, or you can try and put them in your car. You can try and put them upstairs. You can try and put them downstairs. Try and eliminate that visual cue of the cookie, because that is then going to result in you likely taking that action on fewer occasions. So, if the first thing that you do when you sit on the couch is pick up the TV remote, then same thing. You can try and hide the remote either in a closet or in a different room. And that way the trigger of seeing the remote is no longer there. And that's how you start to break that habit. You really want to try and make it easier on yourself to break bad habits by avoiding the things that cause them. So in this case, it's seeing the cookie, seeing the TV remote. Those are just a few examples that might be helpful for you. So that's kind of the first strategy, is document to understand the triggers and then try and remove the triggers. Now, another strategy that I want to share with you on how to stop the bad habit is to kind of think through and try and uncover the crave or the reward that you're after and replace it with a new habit. So if you remember, the habit loop consists of the trigger, the routine or the ritual, and then the reward. And most of the time when we're taking these actions, we're just going after a specific reward that we want. And, just because bad habits provide some type of benefit in your life, it's really hard, since they do provide that benefit, to just simply eliminate them. So, kind of some advice, or maybe you've tried it, of just stop doing that activity. It's like, well, that's not really good advice, because you're still after a specific benefit. And if you're not getting that benefit or that reward, then it's going to make it harder for you to stop doing that activity. So a better solution is not to just stop doing the activity, but it's to replace a bad habit with a new habit that provides a similar benefit. So let me say that again. Instead, what you want to do is you want to replace a bad habit with a new habit that provides a similar benefit. So if you're unsure about what that benefit or what that reward is that you're after, you should start by experimenting, and experiment by switching the current reward with a fake one. So let's pretend you're in the kitchen, you go to the cupboard, and normally you grab chocolate. But instead of that, you can experiment and you can try and grab something like a sparkling water, or you can try and grab something else, and see if that changes the feeling that you get after receiving that reward. So you're trying to understand, is the reward that I'm after, is it just kind of, something that's comforting, something that makes me feel good? You're really trying to understand what that is, and switch out the current activity that you have with a new one to see if it gets to that reward. And even after you switch out maybe the sparkling water for the chocolate, if that still doesn't, after 10 to 15 minutes, if that doesn't get you the reward, then what you want to do is you want to try and write down the exact feelings that you have, and try other rewards that would solve, or try other actions that would achieve that reward. So it's basically this process of experimenting to see what the reward is, and trying different actions that can actually accomplish that same reward. So that's kind of the second strategy. And like I've said, it's all about trying to uncover the reward and replace it with a new habit. So those are kind of the two strategies to break the bad habits. And what I want to do is I want to bring it back to you now and thinking about 2021, just like I have been these past couple of episodes. Who do you want to become by the end of 2021? What are some things that you want to accomplish? And then what are some existing habits that you're doing that you need to stop in order to help you become the person that you want to become and achieve what you want to achieve? So I would go ahead and write that down. Write down a single habit that you want to stop in order to help you achieve your dreams and achieve your goals in 2021. And next, what I want you to do is I want you to implement these two strategies that I've shared to try and break the bad habit. So, go through those, answer those questions, the 5 questions at the beginning, to gain the awareness and understand what triggers your bad habit. Try and remove those triggers if possible, kind of that out of sight, out of mind. And then lastly, understand the reward and try experimenting with new, healthier actions that give you a similar benefit. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that served you, and I hope that that's a helpful introduction to how to break a bad habit. I'll talk to y'all later.